What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to finally a much better, more professional looking setup. I was able to retrieve my very high-tech equipment, my DSLR and my $400 microphone, which is why the audio on this video also sounds so much better. And it's also why the visuals of the video look so much better than the previous episodes of the 2023 Halloween special. So I'm so excited that my videos are back to looking good again. So yes, thank you for tuning back into the 2023 Halloween special. Welcome to episode 8 of the special, and in this episode we are actually going to be talking about the direct sequel to the film that I discussed in the last episode, which was Scream 5 or Scream 2022. So yes, in this video we are talking about Scream 6, which came out this year. This film was once again directed by the great people over at Radio Silence. After the horrific events of the last film, our modern cast of characters have moved to New York City in hopes of a better life, but in light of conspiracy surrounding the events in Woodsboro, another ghost phase begins to wreak havoc in the Big Apple. This film has one of my favorite opening scenes of the entire franchise. It actually might be my favorite opening scene of the Scream films since the original iconic one with Drew Barrymore. It subverts our expectations in so many ways, and something I mentioned about Scream 5 in my review of that film was how I loved how the opening scene of that film sort of subverted the Scream formula that we're so used to. This opening scene does it even more so, and a lot of it does have to go to the fact that Samara Weaving is our leading lady for this opening scene of the film, which was very nice to see, but also the change of scenery, the very well established change of tone and craft in this film just really hit home for me. This is the first Scream film to not have Sidney Prescott in it, and it's also the first Scream film to not take place in Woodsboro, and all the better for it, honestly. I think this franchise really needed a change of tone and a change of scenery, and this movie taking place in such a massive city where there are so many people crowding the streets at any time of day or night really helped with the tension that they are able to build in this movie. And it's also just, like I said, a nice change of scenery. It's visually really awesome to look at. It feels like a breath of fresh air. You really feel the world open up. Sam Carpenter's character is honestly amazing, and the way Melissa Barrera portrays her is incredible. I love the backstory that they set up with this character and Tara, since they are sisters, in the previous film, and I even more so love how they expand on it in this film. The performance is incredible. I love the implications of what may happen with her character in the future, and I think that the arc of her character is handled very well in this film, and it's just really interesting, and it's something that I've never seen even really hinted at in any of the other Scream films. And along with Sam's character comes Tara's character, portrayed brilliantly, obviously, by Jenna Ortega, who I feel like Jenna Ortega is sort of the modern day Neve Campbell, not just in looks and vibe, but she just has that attitude that Sidney had, her and Sam both, and I really think they couldn't have done a better job casting our new final girls for this new set of Scream films. They did an amazing job, truly. And adding on to that, I think that out of all the Scream movies, this one has the best emotional core of the series in many aspects. When it comes to the truth behind the killings in this movie, the relationship between Tara and Sam, and Tara's relationship with Chad, who I didn't name in my last video, but is one of my favorite characters in this new cast of Scream characters that we have. The relationship between Tara and Chad in this film is so well done. It feels so genuine, and it is so wholesome and so sweet. I just said so many times. And even in stating how many times I've said so, I had to use the word so to emphasize how many times I've said so. Moving on. I also think this is one of the most tense Scream films in the entire series. They have so much more to do being in this new location, and there's a lot of very memorable sequences that we'll talk about later in the review. But I also genuinely feel that this movie is the magnum opus of the Scream franchise when it comes to technical craft. I think that the cinematography and the sound design in this film is finally perfected within this franchise. I think that this is truly the best directed Scream film since the original, and honestly, it may be on par with the original. I think on a technical level, this is my favorite Scream film when it comes to just how well it is technically made. This movie also easily has the most brutal ghost face and the most brutal kills of the entire series. Scream 4 probably still holds the title for the goriest kill in the series, but I genuinely think that overall, this movie is easily the most brutal display of kills from Ghostface that we have ever seen in this franchise. This Ghostface is relentless, unforgiving, and is willing to break the classic rules of certain weapons that Ghostface is able to use for the sake of more tension and more brutal kills. And I'm actually on the positive side of that coin. I really, really love that change. Also, a very welcome sight in this film of a returning character from Scream 4, which I just mentioned, is Kirby Reed, who is easily the best part of Scream 4 aside from Neve Campbell. I loved seeing her again in this movie. I think that the story and the way they explain what went on with her character after the events of Scream 4 makes perfect sense, and it's such a great it's just such a great path for that character. They treated that character very smartly. I really love the way that they wrote her backstory. There's a great scene between Kirby and Mindy because they're both massive horror buffs, as we know of Kirby from Scream 4, and obviously of Mindy because of these new films. So there's this amazingly hilarious scene between Kirby and Mindy where they're quizzing each other on who is the bigger horror fan. It is such good banter, and I loved it so much. And it's just such a great reminder about the people. It's a great reminder of how the people behind these movies love movies. They just love going to the movies. They love horror movies. They love to have a good time. They love to entertain people, and they show that in every second of this film. Now, I talked about in my review for Scream 5 about the specific kind of commentary that each one does. Scream 5 did commentary mainly on requels. This movie does genius commentary on franchises. Finally, we are 6 movies into the Scream franchise, and finally one of them is focusing on horror franchises as a whole. Not just horror films, not just horror sequels, trilogies, reboots, and requels. We are finally to the point in the series where they can criticize full-on horror cinematic universes, and oh my god, it is so well done in this film. Mindy once again has an incredible monologue that I still think is on par with Randy's in the original film, just like I said with her monologue in Scream 5. But that also actually adds help to the tension of the movie, because we are 6 movies into this franchise and anybody's expendable, and they definitely made a point to suggest that. They made it a point to suggest that in Scream 5, and all bets are off in this film. You genuinely feel like any of these characters could get killed off at any moment within reason of horror franchise rules. Now, I have talked on and off about this new cast of characters and how well I think they're played and just how much I love them, but they are actually given a name in this film by Chad, who I said I love his character. He pitches this idea of the core 4 between him, Sam, Tara, and Mindy, and I am absolutely here for it. I love it. I love that name. I love that title for this new cast of characters, and it doesn't come off forced. It genuinely is just so funny. It feels so genuine, and the scene in which it is brought up and very much made apparent that that is the name of these cast of characters was so wholesome and so endearing, and it's just a reminder of how great these new characters actually are. I really don't think that they should be or are even being overshadowed by the legacy characters. I genuinely think this movie really helps them come into their own and solidify them as beloved, iconic characters in this franchise. Also, can I just say, Sam's boyfriend, or at least the guy she's seeing in this film, is such a great guy. We need more boyfriend characters like this in movies. He's just such a good guy who just genuinely cares about her, who genuinely wants what's best for her. Like, he's honestly the smartest and most logical character in the movie. This movie also has 3 of, in my opinion, the best sequences in the entire Scream franchise. That being the ladder escape. If you've seen it, you know what I'm talking about. The chase in Gail's apartment, and the subway sequence in this movie. These are 3 masterfully crafted scenes, and I think the filmmakers got the memo about the criticisms with the last film about how there weren't as many chase sequences, and that's sort of a signature thing about Scream. Boy, if you were disappointed by the lack of chase sequences in Scream 5, this movie, Scream 6, is all the way up your alley, dude. Also, that ladder scene is fucking tragic, dude. That's the death in the movie that affected me the most emotionally, and it really hits home how amazing the performances by these actors are. They genuinely do an amazing job. It broke my heart. I actually cried. I do think that this movie is the most tragic Scream film. I think it's a step up above its predecessor in really becoming the most dark, emotionally strong and intact Scream film, while still not losing the comedy. This film is still very funny, but it is more serious than any of the others. This movie is genuinely scary, dude. Like, something I can say for all the Scream movies is that they're suspenseful and they're thrilling and stuff, but I think that this movie, aside from the original, is really the only Scream film that genuinely gives me like goosebumps and genuinely like gets under my skin a little bit, partially due to the fact that the Ghostface in this movie is more chilling, but also the implications behind the truth of when the truth behind this whole plot is finally revealed. It's creepy stuff, man. One thing I will say, and it's sort of a pet peeve of mine with all these movies, is that there are so many scenes within the Scream franchise where the characters get an upper hand on Ghostface and they just decide to run, and they don't decide to, like, they take his weapons, and then for some reason, nobody ever thinks to just take off the mask. Just take it off. He's knocked out. Take it off. Nobody ever takes off the mask. Now, I get the movie would end if they did that, but maybe it wouldn't. Maybe you could write around it because, you know, it's sort of a common thing with these movies that there's rarely ever one Ghostface. So figuring out the identity of one of them, that could be a really cool plot when you get one of them and you're trying to interrogate them. You try to use them as a pawn to further the investigation. I think it could be really cool, but at the same time, I don't know, maybe in those situations, people aren't thinking to do that. They're just thinking, I'm just gonna run so that I'm not at risk of being killed at all. This movie also has pretty good red herrings talking about that mystery. Very good red herrings in this movie, and they did fool me the first time I watched it. Which, by the way, I actually love the Ghostface reveal in this movie and the entire finale of it. It's one of my favorite in the franchise, which is funny, because the first time I saw this film, I was a little iffy on it. I was like, oh, okay, I mean, it makes sense, but I don't know if I'm on board with this. But rewatching it today for this review, it really got to me. I really do love this Ghostface reveal. I love the truth behind the mystery. I think it's one of the best written. And once again, about that finale being so great, it really hits home that arc between Sam and Tara as sisters and the backstory between them. I think that this is my favorite part. This is definitely my favorite part of this new set of Scream movies. I love the backstory. I love the relationship between these two characters. I love the arc between them specifically in this film. And I wish I could say more, but I don't want to spoil anything just in case you haven't seen the film. But I think it's genuinely so well done. And the finale of this movie, and especially some things that Sam does in the final minutes of it, is just fucking badass, man. It's so good. The final shot of this movie, the thematic weight of it, and especially given everything you just witnessed with the finale and the finalized arc between Sam and Tara's characters, oh my god. It is just so good. I love the final shot of this film, and it just really lets it weigh on your heart and just sit with you and stick with you. I think that this is genuinely the most emotionally impactful Scream film ever made. So yeah, guys, I love this movie. I think, honestly, oh boy, do I want to say this? It might take some further thought, but in this current moment, I kind of feel like I'm willing to call Scream 6 my favorite Scream film since the original. I ran through Scream 2, 3, and 4, and 5 all in my head in a split second right before I said that, but I genuinely think that this is my favorite Scream film since the original. I really do think it's that great. They really tapped into something else with this one. So yeah, guys, I absolutely love Scream 6. It's my favorite in the franchise since the original, as I just said. I highly encourage you to watch it if you haven't. I really love what they're doing with this new set of characters and just this new set of films. I'm so excited for Scream 7, which is confirmed, and I'm hearing a lot of rumors about details about the plot and certain things about it, and I'm just getting really excited. It is a very fun time to be a Scream fan at the moment. So without further ado, let's go ahead and rate this film. I love Scream 6. I think it's one of the best in the franchise, and I'm going to give it a 10 out of 10. Guys, thank you so much as always for watching. Look forward to episode 9 of the 2023 Halloween special. I've been having such a fun time talking about horror films this month with you guys, and honestly, thank you so much for watching. I feel like I don't say this enough. I mean, I say it in every video, but just, it genuinely means the world to me. You know, maybe not a shit ton of people watch my channel, but those of you that do, it means everything to me. The fact that anybody is even remotely interested in watching my content is insane to me. So thank you for all the support. Thanks so much for watching, guys. I will see you in the next video, and until then, keep writing, keep shooting, and keep editing.